Light. We needed to see. We needed to know what's hiding in the shadows. But do we always want to see? What do you see? Maybe a prisoner, maybe an outlaw, a saint. Perhaps you see what you want to see.
Hi, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And before I start explaining my lighting setup, I want to talk about the video itself a bit. The reason I shot a video like this have kind of two parts, and the first part is I'm in a living room right now and I didn't want to show it. I didn't like the mood of it, the feeling of it, so I end up showing as less as possible, which is actually in the video you see nothing about the living room. But there is one thing very good about this living room, that it has shutters in front of its windows, so you can block almost all the light that is coming out of the windows, so you can block all the ambient light and work. The second part is I wanted to question the lighting itself. I wanted to ask questions like is lighting should always mean illumination, or is it sometimes better not to light, to keep things in the dark, or just is it better sometimes to have the audience wandering? So with this lighting setup, I wanted to have the audience wondering. I want them to be curious, and I want them to fill the gaps, in this case the face of the subject, with their imagination. And this is the reason I shot a video like this, and now I can start explaining my lighting setup. The first thing I will start with is the background. I choose a black plain background for this video for two reasons. The first reason is I wanted to have a background to just conceal the actual background of the living room. As you can see, there is like a door there, there is a bookshelf here. I didn't want them visible, and I wanted to video a darker tone, so this is the reason I choose the dark background. This is just a plain black fabric. I went to a fabric store and literally asked them the cheapest fabric that they can give to me. I just got a 4 meters of this fabric. For me it worked pretty well. And for the background I used these cardboard tubes, which I think I was really lucky to have them. These are the actual cardboard tubes the fabric is rolled on. So I got them actually from the same shop I got the fabric from, and these are for free, and they were very kind enough to give me these. And the way I have them standing is I used 2 umbrella stands. These are very heavy stone stands that actually used in gardens to have umbrellas. I was really lucky to have them lying around in the garden. So what I'm trying to explain is just that I'm trying to take advantage of everything I find in my own environment. So one other thing about these stone things, they're really heavy, so you can really stretch the background without having anything falling. And about the lights, I used 3 Dedolight DLHM 4s for this video. The first one I set is the backlight. And one thing very good about Dedolights is that you can have a really focused, clean beam of light on the subject. And that gives a really clean, defining edge to the subject, which I really like. And the other thing that is very good, that because I'm in a living room right now, I'm in a living room with white walls. It is very important to control the light, because any spill light, any stray light is just bouncing everywhere. So the Dedolights really help me to focus the lights on the places that I wanted them to be. So for the backlight, I set it up and I look at my camera, and what I realized is that there is a lot of glare on the shoulder, and for me it took the attention of the audience. I want the audience's attention on the upper part of the body, in this case the head, and so I had to find a way to reduce the light on the shoulder, but at the same time I wanted to keep the directionality of the light. I didn't want to diffuse the light with putting anything in front of it, any kind of diffusion or any kind of ND gel or something. So I end up using scrims. I used half scrims. What is a scrim? A scrim is a wire mesh, and half scrim is, as the name suggests, is just like a half mesh. The upper part of it is have nothing, just light can pass through it. The lower part is just blocked by a wire mesh. What it does, it lets you to reduce the intensity of the light without just like dispersing the light, or just like losing the beam quality of the light. So you can still beam the light as you want, but you can reduce the intensity of it. So with the help of these half scrims, I was able to reduce the intensity of the shoulder, and I got the result I wanted. My second light is again a Dedolight DLHM4s. This is just a cardboard. What I did with this light, I just used this light as a catch light, and also as a scan, to give a scanning effect with light, as you can see it on the video. I just cut a slit on a ordinary cardboard, and I have like laundry clips here. I just have it on a light stand, and I just put it just to give a slit of light on the eyes of the subject. And else than that, here I have another cardboard. This one is, as you can see, much bigger, and this has another slit on it. What I did with this, I wanted to show the subject, but just parts at a time. So instead of having different angles, different shots for every part I want to reveal, I just wanted to have one shot, but just showing different parts. So what I did, I just like pull this slit of light back and forth, up and down, and it just gives a scanning effect on the subject. And now I can talk about my last light. I should put this aside for now. I will talk about it later. And this is another Dedolight DLHM4 with the imager attachment. I have a steel gobo on it for casting a pattern, image pattern on the background. The reason I did is when I first set my shot, my background was just plain black. It was very dull. It didn't give any dimension to the image. So I wanted to divide the background with lights and darks to give it a pattern. I also defocused the image that imager casts on the background, so it gave extra depth for me. I also put the imager with an angle, at an angle to the background. The reason I did it, I wanted to have a distorted image on the background for this video. I wanted to have a square image. For me, it didn't fit the mood of this video. And the last thing I did with this imager is I did something very how can I call, do it your own style thing. When I first look at the background image I created, I realized that it was very static, and for me it was rather boring. So I wanted to have a bit of movement in the background, and what I come up with is just like this stroboscopic thing, I don't know how to call it, what it is actually, I can't tell what it is. This is just a computer fan, and this is just like a food can that I cut into shape. Just has a piece left here just to block the light while it spins. So what it does, I just plug it into electric and it just starts spinning, and it just blocks the light, lets the light, blocks the light, lets the light, and it just creates that stroboscopic effect which gives kind of motion to the background. The last thing I should talk about is the flag that I used. The reason I used is because this spinning can reflects light along directions. It also reflects light to the face of the subject, and for this video I wanted to keep the subject's face as dark as possible in the shade. So what I did, I just have this plain cardboard piece of cardboard, just painted black. I just painted black just to absorb as much of the light it falls onto it, and I just placed in between the imager and with the subject just to block the spilling light. And the last thing I did for this shot is a slider. I can show it. This is the sliding mechanism I used for this shot, and actually it worked pretty well. This is just plywood and some nuts and bolts. This is an old tripod head that I got from a flea market for really cheap. And the sliding mechanism is for the drawers, and I got it from a hardware store for really cheap. But the good thing about them is they have ball bearings. So because they have ball bearings, they are actually really smooth for what they are designed for, just for drawing purposes. So I just sandwiched these ball bearings between two plywood, and I had some other bolts to attach it on the tripod plate and other things that the tripod plate itself, and I'm really pleased with the results of it. And this is the last thing I can explain about my video, and I hope you enjoyed my explanation about my video. Thanks for watching. This is my second setup for my video. As you can see, I introduced some new lights here. I will come to them later. First I will talk about what I kept from the first setup. I kept the backlight and I kept the background light with the imager attachment on it. What I did different for the setup is, first I created a special gobo for the imager, and I can show it to you. I made this gobo, I cut it into shape out of aluminium foil, and as you can see it's a semicircular shape, and in the video I use it for projecting that halo of light on the background, that saint halo as you see. It worked pretty well actually, because this is aluminium, it's heat resistant, and because it's very thin, it's easy to cut in shape. And I just placed into a filter holder. It worked really well. I was really pleased with the results. Else than the special gobo I made for the imager, I have two new lights and two of these small gadgets I made for this shot. And the lights are Dedolight DLH1s, and why I use them barehead is because I needed a very small point light source. The reason I need a very small point light source is I needed them to be able to blocked by these things. I needed to hide the light source behind these things, and because they have a really small profile, the light source need to be even smaller than the gadget itself. And these gadgets are actually basically the same thing that I created for the first lighting setup, which I showed with the imager, that it's just like having a stroboscopic effect on the background. they are just the same thing, they're just smaller. What I did, I added a color gel on them to create that police light effect. Else than that, I should add that because the lights have a very smooth dimming, it made it possible for me to get that very special effect for this shot. Because when I first set these lights, when I turned them on, they will start flashing at the same time, and when you have two lights flash at the same time, it looks like a nightclub. And what I realized later, that police lights actually flash in and out in synchronization, and I had to dim them. And Dedolight dimmers provided very smooth dimming in this respect. And I guess this is all I can tell about my second setup, and thanks for watching.